Spooky news if you're afraid of large corporations consolidating entertainment companies. Closing a deal that began early last August, Funimation has sold a majority stake to Sony Pictures Television Networks. Funimation may have been the biggest fish in the anime pond, but getting absorbed into Sony is quite a step up, so what does this mean for the company? Well, according to their FAQ, not a whole lot. Funimation insists that the acquisition won't change their employee structure, business practices, or current partnerships with companies like Crunchyroll. On the Funimation side of things, it seems that the effects of the acquisition will mostly involve using Sony's global presence to facilitate global distribution. Whether that turns out to be true or not remains to be seen. And speaking of TV, the steady stream of Marvel trailers continues with a full-length trailer for Runaways, and for a Hulu exclusive series, it looks pretty decent and faithful to the source material, Raptor and all. The big question though is if it looks good enough to justify getting through Hulu's paywall. Over in video games, Nintendo announced their latest terrifying plot to suck money out of your wallet through your phone. Animal Crossing Pocket Camp will have you picking fruit, fishing, and collecting supplies to craft items and decorations for your own campsite. And if you don't want to wait for apples to grow back or fish to swim over, you can always trade some of your real-world money over to Tom Nook for some in-game currency. And in other Nintendo news, there was a surprise feature added to the Nintendo Switch in the recent 4.0 update. Though not mentioned in the patch notes, it was quickly discovered that the update added the ability to use the Wii U's GameCube adapter. The GameCube controller functions identically to a regular Switch controller, although it's obviously missing a shoulder button, L and R3, and the home and capture buttons. Speculation about the Smash Bros. And other GameCube games coming to the Switch ran rampant until Nintendo revealed that the GameCube controller functionality actually was a happy accident, resulting from Nintendo adding third-party USB support to the system. Yes, apparently the most interesting update Nintendo has made for the Switch wasn't on purpose. Heading over to theaters, releasing this week, it's the end of the world with Thor Ragnarok. Are you ready for Thor and the Hulk to go on a cosmic adventure to fight Jeff Goldblum and the Goddess of Death? Because I sure am. And if you just can't wait to get into the Christmas spirit, there's A Bad Mom's Christmas. Mila Kunis, Christian Bale, and Kathryn Hahn are back for a Christmas-themed sequel about three moms getting away from their own mothers during the holiday season. And for something slightly more bloody, getting a limited release this week is Blade of the Immortal. The 100th film, directed by Takashi Miike, Blade of the Immortal is a live-action manga adaptation about a morally ambiguous samurai that cannot die until he kills enough evil people. And speaking of fighting evil, over on television, Stand Against Evil is back on IFC for a second season of pitting rowdy New Englanders against the forces of hell. And on CBS, SWAT is yet another police procedural, this time with the most fantastical premise yet. Cops actually suffering the consequences for shooting a civilian and bridging the gap between the police and black communities, which apparently also involves the occasional rocket launcher. In video games, coming out this week on PC, there's Wanderlust. Not usually into walking simulators, but this is more like a walking on LSD simulator, so that's kinda neat. And speaking of mind trips, it must be JRPG week, because there's a lot of them coming out, starting with Lost Dimension, a turn-based tactical RPG that has you working to save the world while trying to figure out which member of your party is working against you. With a different traitor each time you play, it's kinda like a JRPG version of Mafia. Meanwhile, for those that need validation from their computers, Achievement Lurker Respectable Accomplishment is an RPG Maker game that boasts 5,000 achievements. For fans of the .hack series, .hack GU Last Recode combines remastered versions of all three entries in the .hack GU trilogy into a single package, along with a new fourth volume to tie it all up. And just in time for Halloween, Zui the Ill-Fated Insurrection puts you in control of a chibi-styled vampire out on an action RPG adventure. Also out for Halloween, Void Memory is a Castlevania-styled game, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about that, but for more horror, Creeping Terror is a survival adventure game that has you running away from a crazed killer. But the scariest game this week has to be Bubsy, the Woolies Strike Back. Yes, it's really happening. That said, the game is basically a reskin of Giana Sisters' Twisted Dreams, and that was a fun platformer, so this really shouldn't be any different. For other games, Void is the rare visual novel that's grabbed my attention. Multiple endings and high production values might make it worth a look. And if you like shoot 'em ups, Enceladus joins the already saturated market, but if you're looking for something new, Boss 101 has a more unique visual style and seems to let you create your own bosses to fight against, so that's nifty. Speaking of creative mechanics, the Flush God looks like a typical platformer, but using your massive gun as a movement mechanic is pretty creative. And finally, Call of Duty World War II is a thing that exists if you're a big fan of Call of Duty and/or World War II. Wrapping things up with this week's CGBros video, 32 Rue and Odontia tells the tale of a sweet old lady on the hunt for, well, watch it and find out. And finally, for this week's awesome video, Lindsay Sterling is getting ready for Christmas with a holiday classic, Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. That's everything for this week, so if you're interested in Runaways, do you think it's worth a subscription to Hulu, or is it time to break out the pirate costume? Let me know in the comments, be sure to like and subscribe, pass this video around to your friends, and have a happy Halloween!